Namaskar. In this Fundamentals of Hinduism series, previous talk was on the practicing Hindu. What are the practices? Today we discuss the main rituals, the daily rituals and lifelong rituals. We had mentioned in the previous talk that there are five daily rituals to be performed, popularly known as Panch Mahayagya, five great sacrifices. Brahma Yagya, it means study of scriptures every day, doing meditation and doing japam. If one is not initiated by some guru in some mantra, one can do gayatri jap and one can sit silently if he has not been trained into meditation by some guru and reading of scriptures, whether that be Gita or Ramcharitmanas, or in Bengal, Chaitanya Charitamrita is very popular. Whatever scripture belongs to your family tradition or the scripture that you like. Then there is Devi Yagya. Devi Yagya is about daily rituals, daily worship rituals. This can be performed by visiting some nearby temple or performing ritualistic puja, whatever suits your mentality. For example, there is Durga Puja, Kali Puja, etc. Just like that. Certain rituals related to the gods with small g. Then there is Pitri. Again, this was also explained that at the time of food, when you take food, little food is offered in the name of the ancestors who are no more there, and that is given to the birds, left for the birds. And also there is Tarpan. Every year you will see is this during Mahalaya's time, just before Durga Puja. At that time, Tarpan is offered, and different family has different traditions. But since we are extremely indebted to our ancestors, this has to be done, and we will mention it a little later again. Then there is Manushya Yagya. Guests should be honored, relatives should be taken care of, and people whom you do not know, they should also be taken care of. In different religion, a different percentage has been set that needs to be donated for the well-being of others. I suggest 5% because what you do in 100 rupees, you can do in 95 too. It's, it's good to have a liberal attitude. It makes you more spiritual. And there is both yagya, taking care of the lower animals, feeding the fish, feeding birds, feeding animals, etc. This we had mentioned in the previous talk too. Then there are 10 sanskaras. As far as Hindus are concerned, you will see that Hindus practice quite a few things. However, the essential practices of the Hindu, essential, barest of bare, are these two. The 5 daily rituals and 10 lifelong rituals. So 5 plus 10. As far as these 10 rituals are concerned, these are known as 10 sanskara. During Vedic period, there were 64. Then Manu brought it down to 16. But now, usually only 10 are practiced. And we will discuss these 10 today. After discussing, we mentioned what those 5 daily rituals are. Now, these sanskaras, these are known as sanskaras. They are life rituals, and that purify person, and also connects a person with the universal. Usually, each of these sanskaras is performed by offering puja, And in case a priest is not available, you generally go to some temple and you request the priest at that temple to perform that. It's a very common practice with the Hindus. So, for example, I was at Devghar for a long time, and at Baba Baidyanath temple in Devghar. Now it is in Jharkhand. Earlier it was in Bihar. There used to be many types of sanskara. So even marriages were performed and sacred thread ceremonies were performed. It's a very common thing. First is Garbhadan. Garbhadan is very interesting. That they say that if you want to have a baby, if you want to have a child, you must first offer your prayers. And in Manusmriti, Manu lays a lot of stress on this. Even Swami Vivekananda says that children are like blessings from God. You need to pray. So he says, someone desirous of such a child, that is, when a child is born of prayers, he's a blessing to the society. So certain rituals are to be performed for that. Then there is Jata Karma. Jata Karma is when the umbilical cord is severed. At that time, there are some rituals because now the baby is moving away from mom and moving towards more universal character and nature. Till now, baby was with mom, and the baby had the identity of the mom. Then comes Namakarana Sanskar, naming. Naming ceremony is generally within a month. And now I am told that in hospitals, when babies are born, they want the naming to be done at that very moment. So, well, name can be given, but as we mentioned, that each of these sanskaras require some kind of puja. So, naming ceremony is a very important ceremony. Generally, people used to keep the name of their children after God so that at the time of death, it is natural for a person to call out the name of one's children. And now, being God's name, your mind goes, it may go towards God. Then there is the Annaprashan. Annaprashan, generally it is performed when the baby is 6 months old. And that's the first time when you offer some kind of food away from mother's milk. Baby has now moved towards independent existence. Then there is Chudakaran. Chudakaran is the first tonsure ceremony. Generally, it is said that it should be performed within 3 years. Of course, there are family traditions, and in some places they do it within 5 years. But 3 years is considered to be the normal. And for the male child, small tuft is left once Chudakaran is done. And nowadays, people have become fashionable, so sometimes they leave, but within a minute, they shave it off. The sixth one is Upanayan. Upanayan is when you give sacred thread ceremony and you give the Gayatri mantra Om Bhurbhuva Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat Om. Now, if you are interested, we have delivered a long talk on Gayatri mantra. You will find in the playlist there in the Hinduism series. That's a separate playlist. Somehow, sacred thread ceremony and getting of Gayatri mantra, they are linked. Now, Gayatri mantra is extremely universal. It has nothing to do with Hindu religion. If you try to understand the meaning of the mantra, you'll find it's extremely universal. And this mantra can be used as a prayer, as also as mental prayer and meditation. Depending on how you do it, you get the results accordingly. And one of the results is a very powerful mind. Generally, Gayatri mantra is to be practiced 108 times in the morning and in the evening. However, if you cannot do it You should do at least 12 times, morning and evening. Shikha, that is stuffed, was left when there was Chudakaran, and Sutra comes when there is this Upanayan. Interestingly, we do not find any mention in the Vedas about who can get this sacred thread ceremony. Later Smritis like Manusmriti and all, they make it very clear that only Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya can have, and there he makes a list what kind of thread is to be used. However, I personally say that everyone is entitled to have Gayatri mantra and sacred thread, male, female, of any caste, and it should be done. And this has to be, and this is the branding of and branding into Hindu religion. That you perform Gayatri mantra and you have Shikha and Sutra. Of course, not everybody will do, but that's what makes you a Hindu. Then there is Vivaha. Vivaha, marriage, is both for company and for begetting children, and is performed variously. Sometimes is a choice of two individuals. Sometimes parents fix it, and marriage is generally sanctified either in a temple or in front of the sacred fire, because God is the witness. Once you get married, automatically comes the next Garhasthya. These two are related, marriage and Garhasthya. Because in earlier times, sometimes people used to get married when they were very young, so they couldn't enter Garhasthya. So sometimes these two were kept separate. It's no more needed because now child marriage is prohibited. However, marriage and Garhasthya, these are two different things. Although they can start at the same time. According to Garhasthya, performing these 5 daily sacrifices, Panch becomes compulsory. Every grihastha, every married person has to do it, must do it. Actually, every adult should do it. So whether or not you are married, actually it doesn't make any difference. But once you get married, it's a must. Secondly, one has to realize that once you become a householder grihast, you have a lot of responsibilities. The biggest responsibility is that the welfare of the society and the monks depends entirely on you, because monks, who will look after the monks? The householders. Monks do not have any income. At the same time, military is there, police is there. Who pays for them? The householders. So you have to be conscious of that. And you need to be continuously active, because you are that flywheel that supplies energy to the entire society. Number 9 is sannyas. Sannyas is, of course, we have club 2, that is vanaprastha and sannyas. Sannyas is ambition of every Hindu to give up the world at some point of time. However, it cannot be done in a day. So once you reach a particular age, say 60, you should slowly withdraw from active work, and slowly you should give more mind to God. And finally, a time must come in your life when you give up everything. Either take a formal sannyas or an informal sannyas and move away completely from the world by devoting yourself fully to God. Because the ultimate goal of Hinduism is mukti. And this mukti can come only when a person is totally devoted to God. 10 is Anthesti. Anthesti is the last rites of the dead. So purification, purification, purification. So normally it's performed with solemnity and says that the next life, next birth is greatly determined by what one thinks at the time of death. So Gita is recited at the deathbed to ensure a better afterlife, and it's also recited during the cremation and all. Hindus have traditionally cremated the dead, but there is no hard and fast rule about it. Sometimes some sages and sadhus they are buried too. When cremation is done, the mortal remains, some ashes and bone, are put in river or a water body to signify the merging of the individual with the universal. Because we believe that water, wherever that might be, today or tomorrow, this way or that way, it will reach the ocean, which signifies the infinity of existence. And with Anthesti is related Shraddha. Shraddha is not a sanskar, it's a ritual. Shraddha is normally performed at a sacred place or a sacred spot, and there should not be any pomp related with it. And with that, there is Tarpan, which is an annual ritual, and it's performed annually, generally near a water body. And one of the last rituals related to that person is offering a pindadan at Gaya. So that's when a person's relation with this particular existence, that is, with this body, is finally purified. So by then he might have taken a different birth and a different story comes out. Story ends. So just to sum up, there are two main rituals that every Hindu performs: five daily rituals and 10 lifelong rituals. And next talk will be on the pilgrimage, etc., or maybe on dharma. Thank you.